Good morning, Agent 404. I have a new mission for you called Rules Optimizing Operations Consistent Organized Development Environment, code name RooCode.
Sounds like I'm going to do some RooCoding today.
I need you to learn how to use RooCode Rules.
Can you say that 10 times fast?
No, pay attention.
Fine. What should I focus on?
Just get it done.
But what should I... oh well. Okay. I'll get it done. I am not familiar with RooCode Rules. That means I need to read some documentations and do some experimentation. But I do want to focus on some things like rule ignore, creating a project structure using RooCode, do some dynamic rules, see if that works, unit tests, and then we're going to create some generic rules. Shouldn't be too difficult. It's a lot of guesswork, but I think I got this. From reading the documentation, all you gotta do, the preferred method is to create a directory called rule, then rules, and then add your files. One thing to note is that it loads it alphabetically, meaning 01 is before 02. So 01 is gonna load before 01 is gonna load before 02 because it's first, alphabetically. We gonna come here and I forgot what to do. I think you need to put it in the root directory, so it'll be here. Right. It'd be easy if I do it here. Root directory, make directory dot roo. Go to roo, make directory dot rules. Okay. So now I should have somewhere here. Here we go. Close out. Put this here. This is what I want. First file I want is what? I want to be able to control the directory structure. So Spring Boot knows where to put certain files. We create a new file. Let's call it 01 underscore project structure that ending. It's going to be marked down. This is the project structure I want to follow. So the main class we put in the parent root. Right. Then anything with controller goes to the controller class. Anything that's a service goes to service. Service directory, repository, anything that's you see interactive databases, repository, model, entity. Do I want to? I don't think I want to have entity. I think I just want to keep model. TO, the config, blah 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 blah. Let's see if this works. Okay, I do want to see RooCode on this file structure at the same time. So here's RooCode. What we can do is this. No, actually this. Take this guy, put it over here. Right. Now you have RooCode over here and structure here. Now we can see what's going to go on. Let's ask it. I want to do something simple. I want to ask it to create the project structure. Can you create the project structure for Spring Boot? Let's see if we do it. Let's see what it does. The controller, DTO, messaging, modules, repository, service, utils. I think that's all of it. Messaging. Did it create consumer and producer? Let's see. Boom! Look at that. Messages property. I don't think you need this. I don't know why I added this. I am going to delete that. Delete. It did a pretty good job. I followed the rule pretty well. I did want it to create the ignore rule. According to the documents, rule ignore is similar to git ignore. Same patterns. Let's create a new file called ignore. Has to be in parent directory. So make it's a file. Yep. Okay. Touch. So we should have that here. Refresh this. Ignore. Now, what do I want to put in there? I'm just gonna put logging. I want to ignore that for now. Any private information like secrets, anything with VS Code, and then anything with the target for Java. That should ignore it. Now the question is, how do we test this? Let's say Let's create a new file called log. Delete.log. Let's open that up. Where's my delete.log? It should be here. Let's go. This is a log file. Now, if the ignore rules work, and I say something like, hey, look for log files and print out what's inside of it. It should not print out this is a log file. Let's approve. It didn't ignore it. Why didn't it ignore it? I'm confused. The problem was why I read the log file when it shouldn't have is because I needed to have it reload the ignore files. To do that, you just start a new chat, which I did. Start a new chat and ask it again, the same question. Can you list all log files and print out what's inside of it? Now it should say it can't. I'm unable to list the contents of the files lab because we're okay. Which still works. Just remember, if you add anything to the ignore file, you gotta start a new chat. You can't use the previous chat because it won't know about it. Good. What's next? What is next, my friend? My friend. Let's see what's next. So I got the ignore working. I got the project structure working. So I want to create another code rule for what? Every time it creates a new function or method, it should create a test, some kind of test for it. I had ChatGPT help me write some RooCode rules for test folder structure. It just says, put it in this directory path and follow this kind of format. But the key point here is the best practices. It should be isolated, use mocking, treat it as like a black box. We want to test inputs, outputs, not internals, and do not override logger. I created another rule file called for logging to show how to log. I wanted to make sure it uses this format for the logger factory, and I want to get it from an SLF4J. A couple of things to note for the logger is here's an example, how to use it, when to use info, when to use warn, when to use error, and then what not to do. Pretty much don't use system file, don't log password tokens. Then I mentioned when to use is debug enabled. Just when only time you want to use this is debug enable. Let's see, when did I write that out? When is it right now? So don't use is debug enable when it's simple variables. But if something is high compute, like you want to call a method that does a lot of stuff, then use is debug enable right here. So if it's debug enable, then call it, because what happens here, it actually calls the method first, runs it, and then checks if it's debug enabled. Which is, it's going to cost a lot of CPU resources. If you use it with the if statement, if you check first if debug is enabled, it's not going to call the method, which is a good practice. I just learned about this like 5 minutes ago. I didn't know when to use his debug enable. So I learned something new. And I forgot to record when I asked it to create a quick test for me, and it did. It put it in the correct app properties. I actually tested it out, just create a quick test, some tests for it, and it did. It's simple testing, but it does the job. I just want to see if it put it in the right directory, which it did. Let's see if we can make this app properties logger better. So if you can see here, I kind of did it before, but I didn't record it, so I'm going to do it again. It did stuff. Let me edit, redo. Edit, redo. Edit, redo. Edit, redo. I see. Control Y. Try. Alright. What did it do? It updated the method where it looks for the property value. Then it checks, is it a sensitive property? What that sensitive property does, it goes here. If it has any keyword, password secret key token, it blots it out. Else it uses the property value, which I liked. So these rules that I created works. Congratulations. I did 5. I did generic RooCode, which is the logging, and but now I want to see how to test out dynamic rules, because I know I was reading RooCode documentation. It mentioned you can do dynamic rules. For dynamic rules, we're gonna do something here. We're gonna create a new file and call it 04. What should we call it? What should we call it? Dynamic rules. Right. And in there, we're gonna put it here. I'm gonna copy, paste. So from the documentation, all it says to add this to client rules. I don't want to add to client rules. I'm gonna use this. Put it here. No, additional rules. So let's see what it says. When a user requests additional rules, add them to additional section of the dynamic. Let me call it dynamic rules. Call it dynamic dash underscore rules to end the file. Let me rename this. Rename. What's rename? Why can't I rename this? Rename. This should be underscore. That's MD. And I'm putting the additional rules below it. Any new rules it has. So when I add a new dynamic rule, it'll put it here. I also added, I changed it where it says instead of client rules, I said use the dynamic rules.md. And then I added like any new details to make the rule better, put it in for LMMs. So let's test this out. Technically, if I ask it to add this rule, it should put it under here. It should. Let's see what it does. So it erased it, and I don't like I don't like that it erased my rules. All right, let's get it back. It totally just erased it. No way, it didn't erase it. No way, I'm stupid. I'm a stupid head. Let me bring this back. Redo. Control Y. Redo. Okay. It created a README file. That's what it did. I don't know why it created a README file. It shouldn't have done that. I didn't want to create a README file. What did it put in additional rules? Did it do anything there? I wonder. No, it didn't. Okay. Okay, so let's get rid of this. And then get rid of this. Delete. I should have put it down underneath here. Let's start a new task again and let's try it one more time. It should put it in here. Yeah, let's read it. Let's accept that and see what it did. Okay. It put it there. It didn't change anything here. No. Get rid of it. Prove it. Save it. And it's gone. Okay. It works. Dynamic rules works. I don't know if I'm going to use it, to be honest, but it's good to have it around. What else should I work on for these? What was the next mission? Oh, I did it all. Okay. I'm actually really surprised it worked off the bat. So now my Java project is going to be more structured when I ask the LLM to do things. Hopefully it won't go crazy and put files everywhere else.